A late-night birthday party that turned in the space of a few seconds into a nightmare. This brochure shows the party boat intact. No match for the gravel barge Bow Bell, which ran it down near the center of London. Though the frogmen shuttled in and out through the afternoon, there was no sign to back up the hopes of the watchers that some of the party dancers might have survived in an air pocket. Navigation was halted on a long section of the Thames while recovery work went on. Raising the hulk was complicated by its condition. Survivors said the barge Bow Bell sliced the pleasure boat in two, and by the currents. In this part of London, the Thames becomes narrow, deep, and swift. An inrushing tide tore the survivors from the wreck just before 2 a.m. and spun them upriver.
It just smashed to the side and went straight over us.
What happened then?
What then? I mean, I dived out the window, so the people downstairs, I don't know, I mean, there's no way they would have got out.
I dived off and was taken by the tide, and I allowed the tide to take me, and it took me through and underneath and out the other side.
What happened to other people on the boat, did you know?
I didn't look back.
As dawn broke, police and Royal Air Force helicopters hunted up and down the Thames. Private cabin cruisers joined police and fire department boats combing the surface, but with little result. The body of one young woman was found 8 miles up the river. Authorities gave the recovery team a longer period of slack water by closing the massive Thames flood barrier downstream. Meanwhile, police said the captain and first mate of the Bow Bell are under arrest. Charges have not yet been announced. Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher flew back from vacation in Austria to visit the scene of this, the 7th big transport disaster for Britain in the last 2.5 years. The government's Department of Transport is again under fire over safety standards. Richard Blystone, CNN, London.
Poland's nominee for prime minister is urging the people to keep faith. Solidarity activist Tadeusz Mazowiecki was tapped for the post yesterday. His nomination goes to the National Assembly's lower house tomorrow, where confirmation is all but assured. Mazowiecki met today with Lech Wałęsa and other Solidarity leaders to begin the task of putting together the East Bloc's first government led by non-communists in 40 years. Poland's economic problems pose a considerable challenge.
Solidarity is going to lead. It is not going to drive. The communists have tried to drive the society for years and have failed. Solidarity will have to yield, will have to lead. The question we're going to have to address is, do they have the capacity to do that? At this particular time, they have the capacity to lead. Do they have a government which will enable them to do so? I think that's yet to be decided. Certainly they have a government that is not a good tool for them to lead the Polish people in these difficult times.
Solidarity is expected to renew appeals for Western aid. Poland is burdened with nearly $40 billion debt and rampant inflation. Several hundred East Germans arrived at crowded West German refugee camps today. Yesterday, they used a picnic on the Austria-Hungary border as a cover to flee the West. The dramatic escape raised the number of East Germans taking refuge in the West to 2,000 so far this month. About 90,000 are expected this year, more than twice the number that crossed last year. Pope John Paul says the fighting in Lebanon must end. On the second day of his 3-day visit to Spain, he's accusing sectarian fighters of trying to destroy Lebanon. John Paul is offering to go to Lebanon to try and help end the violence. Vatican officials are keeping mum on any Lebanese response to the Pope's offer. France's involvement in Lebanon's civil war may threaten the lives of 2 American hostages. A group believed to represent the Iranian-backed Hezbollah says it will consider killing hostages Edward Tracy and Joseph Sicipio if the French Navy assists Lebanese Christians. The group's statement was sent to a Beirut newspaper, accompanied by this black and white photograph of Tracy. A French aircraft carrier and frigate have been sent to the eastern Mediterranean. But French President Francois Mitterrand says the ships are not meant to pose a military threat. In Beirut, 2 people were killed this morning when Syrian and Christian forces traded artillery fire. Both sides are said to be reinforcing their troops. Israeli troops reportedly shot and killed 2 Palestinians during clashes with demonstrators in the occupied territories today. At least 6 others were wounded. Palestinian sources say one of those killed was a 15-year-old boy. The death of another teenager in the occupied West Bank is the focus of an Israeli army investigation. The body of a Palestinian-American boy was exhumed yesterday. The army wants to refute charges that they are responsible for his death. Jim Clancy has the story.
With upraised palms, the friends of Amjad Tawil prayed over his grave. The 14-year-old Palestinian-American had been missing since Wednesday. A shepherd found his badly mutilated body Saturday morning. He had been shot in the chest. Friends told conflicting stories. Either he was wounded in a demonstration,
shot at him, live bullets,
or he was arrested by Israeli troops.
Then the Jews found them, and they took him to jail.
You can't go inside. I'm sorry.
The army sealed off the area around Tawil's home, preventing mourners from gathering. Earlier, the family claimed the army told them he had been arrested. Israeli officials denied it.
Tawil was never arrested or detained in any of the detention facilities of the Israel Defense Forces or the security forces in the territories.
The U.S. consulate in Jerusalem confirmed they had been notified a day after Tawil disappeared. A spokesman said the U.S. was requesting a formal investigation. Tawil's cousin, Minneapolis surgeon Walid Amra, said his own preliminary examination of the body showed the teenager had been tortured before being shot in the chest at point-blank range.
There is evidence supported by facts that the burns are actually sustained through torture.
Family members say Amjad Tawil was born and raised in the U.S. and came to live here some 6 years ago. They say he wasn't political, but was proud to be an American. His U.S. passport was still in his pocket when the body was found.
Amjad should be shown to the world over for how a 15-year-old, the epitome of manners, well-cultured and mild-mannered, should suffer such a fate.
Saturday night, the Army exhumed the body. American family members say they will have an independent pathologist witness the autopsy. But one relative cautioned that while the autopsy may reveal how Amjad Tawil died, it will not reveal who killed him or why. Jim Clancy, CNN, Jerusalem.
New York City investigators say it may be days before they can confirm what caused an underground steam pipe to explode yesterday, killing 2 people. The blast happened as utility workers attempted to turn on a steam line that had been shut off earlier in the day. It tore a 20-foot hole into a Manhattan street and sent a geyser of steam 15 stories into the air. New York police say 2 crooks posing as cops are to blame for stealing $4 million worth of artwork from a well-known art restorer. 67-year-old Vleku Ionescu reportedly was held at gunpoint, then handcuffed, while thieves posing as policemen stripped his walls of 50 paintings. Ionescu says he tried to offer one thief a deal.
He told me that they are paid $50,000 for this job. And I told them, I give you more than that. But they answer that their family will be in danger if he is not executed correctly.
Ionescu says none of the stolen masterpieces was insured. Police in Los Angeles arrested 352 people this weekend, half of them suspected gang members in another revival of Operation Hammer. Charges range from selling drugs to overdue parking tickets. Police say the point was to let gangs know they don't own the streets. The bloodshed continued, though. 4 people were killed, including 1 innocent bystander. 12 others were injured by gang violence. Another of the Baby Bell strikes appears to be over. Pacific Telesis, serving phone customers in California and Nevada, reached a tentative agreement early today with the Communications Workers of America. The strike was called 2 weeks ago today over wages and the cost of benefits. The walkout continues against 3 other regional Baby Bells. Conservationists in Namibia are concerned about the future of the black rhinoceros. High prices for their horns make them vulnerable to poachers and extinction. Lori Waffenschmidt reports on efforts to save the black rhino.
It's a drastic measure, but one Namibian wildlife authorities hope will conserve one of Africa's most endangered species. Rhinoceros horns are sold on the black markets of Asia for their reputed medicinal powers, and in Yemen, where they're used to make handles for daggers. Poachers sell the horns for tens of thousands of dollars each, making them more sought after than elephant tusks. To discourage the poachers, conservationists in Namibia's Damaraland tranquilized the animals, anesthetized them, and sawed off both of their horns. They then smoothed the sharp edges, tagged the rhinos for monitoring, and administered a drug to wake them up. There are about 100 rhinos in Damaraland. The Directorate of Nature Conservation has not released any figures on the number of animals dehorned. The The rhinos use their horns in mating, in fighting, and in browsing for food. So there is concern about the effects of the dehorning. Officials say they will have to wait and see how the animals respond. The Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species, or CITES, outlawed the trade in rhino horn in an effort to curb the number of black rhinos being poached in Africa. But the chief conservator in Damaraland, Rudy Luti, says it's only made the horns more valuable to poachers.
There will be, I think, in the future, a number of African countries looking to CITES to change its strategy, or try and get CITES to change its strategy. And we hope one day that maybe by dehorning and being able to use the horns to procure funds, that money could go back into the conservation of the animals themselves.
But Luti has only one part of the battle. The horns sawed off by the conservationists are not being sold. They're being stored at an undisclosed location. Lori Waffenschmidt, CNN, reporting.
One program designed to save the black rhinoceros is bearing fruit. Officials at the Fort Worth Zoo in Texas report the birth of a new baby black rhino. The zoo received the mother rhino about 9 months ago from Zimbabwe. They say the 100-pound baby and its mother are doing just fine. They're just not sure of the baby's gender yet. It may have rained, but that didn't stop President Bush from enjoying the day in Kennebunkport, Maine. He started the day with his first jog since arriving for his seaside vacation. After the run, he and wife Barbara and a crop of Bush offspring attended Episcopal church services. The service included a prayer for the freedom of Western hostages in the Middle East. Mr. Bush then headed out to sea, as he's done every day of his vacation, for a little fishing. What's the original artwork from Mickey Mantle's 1953 baseball card worth? Find out when we return. First, let's check the weather.
It'll be a rainy Sunday for most of the middle of the country. Showers through the Midwest and lakes, across the plains to Montana and Idaho on the north, and Texas and New Mexico on the south. Both coasts should be dry, except for some showers for Florida and the Gulf.
You're going to hear all about a terrific free gift from Time. So stay where you are, and I'll be right back to tell you more.
When you read Time each week, you know more. You understand.
Time flies, and you are there. Time cries, and lets you care. You understand the world we share.
Now Time is offering you more than ever. Order Time right now, and you'll get the Great Moments of the 60s video cassette free with your paid subscription. Relive one of the most eventful eras in recent history. The Cultural Revolution. The drama of man's flight into space. The shock of war. And the pleasures of peace have all been recaptured in this remarkable video cassette. And Time sorts out today's news, putting the bits and pieces you get elsewhere into one coherent picture. Now you can get Time for more than 40% off the cover price. Call this toll-free number and get 26 issues of Time, payable in 3 monthly installments of just $9.89 each. Order now, and you'll also get Time's Great Moments of the 60s video cassette free. From Vietnam to Woodstock, you'll witness the highlights of that eventful era that permanently changed our lives. So call toll-free 1-800-331-3443 right now.
Throughout your world, throughout your land, Time puts it all right in your hands. Read Time and understand.
Hi, I'm Judy, an operator here at Time. Remember, if you call right now, we'll send you Time at more than 40% off the cover price. You'll also get free the Great Moments of the 60s video cassette, filled with the most stirring images of the 60s. This offer won't last long, so call now.
Made in the USA, Bigger Screen TV is on the way. A subsidiary of the Japanese electronics giant Toshiba says starting tomorrow, it will manufacture super large 32 and 34-inch picture tubes at its upstate New York plant. Currently, no company manufactures tubes larger than 30 inches in the United States. The company that's tops in bubblegum trading cards is holding a big auction in New York. And baseball fans are getting a crack at some rare and pricey collectibles. Tom Kirkland was there.
It's a sign and sound of the times. An estimated 1,500 weekend bidders battling each other's bankrolls for original bits of sports and entertainment history.
It's a collector's, I think, one-time, lifetime opportunity here, and that's what I'm here for. And if I have a chance of getting something, I'd be very lucky. If not, I'll just sit here and watch the rest of the people.
In an unprecedented move, the Topps Chewing Gum and Card Company auctioned off some 25,000 items from its Brooklyn archives. Not just cards for sale. These are the original illustrations and proof sheets from which the cards were printed, even contracts between player and company.
Of course, collecting is now at an all-time high. And in addition to that, this material is one of a kind, and being a one-of-a-kind material, of course, the collectors would like very much to have it.
From the celebrity world, how about a one-of-a-kind of the king? Or perhaps something out of those old wacky packs? The biggest bucks went for baseball. 1951 was the first year Topps made baseball cards, and the only year the originals were painted. This Mickey Mantle print sold for a whopping $121,000. Say, hey, how much did Willie Mays go for? Try 88 grand. But the fanatics found flawed originals equally attractive. This oddball eyeballed the stock and spied a 1968 Bob Gibson, where the usually no-nonsense ace right-handed pitcher of the St. Louis Cards purposely posed as a lefty. $1,500 later, it was all his.
But I still think it's a bargain, and I have a lot of these unissued cards, and I think this is the best because of the story involved. He obviously deliberately posed as a left-handed pitcher as opposed to a right-hander, and they caught it in time.
Organizers predict when the bidding's done and the cash counted, more than $1 million will have been harvested from this and other rare crops of collectibles, and there'll be many winners. The Topps company says they'll donate much of the money to charity. In New York, Tom Kirkland, CNN Sports.
Headline Sports is next, and later Southern Methodist University's football team comes back from the NCAA's death penalty. Stay with us.
In business, a lot can happen. If you want to keep up every week, you have a choice. Not Forbes, not Fortune. You can read Business Week, or you can read a week of the Wall Street Journal. Either way, you'll find out all you need to know. The question is, how much time are you willing to spend in the process? Business Week is designed for busy people. One look at the cover, and you'll know exactly where to turn inside. A quick scan of the contents page, and you'll have all the events of the week that interest you. Business Week does more than inform. It entertains with stories that are compellingly told in both words and pictures. If you want to keep up with what's going on out there every week, all year long, there's more than one way to go about it. The choice is yours.
A subscription to Business Week has never been smarter, because if you act right now, you can take advantage of a very attractive offer. 32 issues of Business Week for the low basic rate of only $24.95. That's just 78 cents an issue. A savings of more than 60% off the $2 cover price. And along with your paid subscription, Business Week will send you this compact data bank, the latest in microchip technology, absolutely free. In addition to having full calculator functions, the data bank also stores up to 120 names and phone numbers, and even serves as an electronic appointment book. And remember, it's free with your paid subscription to Business Week. Here's how to subscribe.
Just call 1-800-592-8900, and we'll send you 32 issues of Business Week for only $24.95. This low basic rate saves you more than $39 off the cover price, and your satisfaction is guaranteed. Remember, the data bank is free with your paid subscription. The number again is 1-800-592-8900. Call now.
Mark McKay, Headline Sports. A record-breaking day for United States swimmers today at the Pan-Pacific Swimming Championships in Tokyo. 4 Americans set world records, including Janet Evans, who captured her 4th gold medal of the event by swimming the 800-meter freestyle at 8 minutes, 16.22 seconds, nearly a second faster than her previous mark. Tom Jager, Dave Wharton, and Mike Barrowman all set new world marks in Japan today. Since we're talking world records, let's move on to West Germany, where Morocco's Saheed Aito shattered the world mark in the men's 3,000-meter run. Aito broke the 11-year-old mark with a time of 7 minutes, 29.45 seconds. Back in this country, the focus is on baseball this Sunday afternoon. At the Vet, the National League West leading Giants beat Philadelphia 5-2 in dramatic fashion. San Francisco was down by 1 in the 9th when Ernest Ryle stepped up and smacked a grand slam homer, the first of his career. The Giants rallied for the victory. The Dodgers down the Mets today at Shea 5-4. Willie Randolph smacked a 3-run homer, his first home run since last August 29th. It came with 2 outs in the 9th. Earlier, New York's Howard Johnson became only the 3rd player in Major League history to hit 30 home runs and steal 30 bases in more than one season. Johnson hit a first-inning homer off Ramon Martinez. Elsewhere, Montreal dropped one at home today to San Diego. The Padres win this one behind a 3-run homer from Jack Clark. The Pirates beat the Braves. St. Louis is at Cincinnati. And the East-leading Cubs are taking on Houston. In the American League today, Baltimore is now a game and a half ahead of Toronto in the East. This afternoon at Memorial Stadium, the Orioles beat the Blue Jays 7-2. Baltimore scored 3 runs in the 4th and the 7th innings to pull out the victory. Texas is in Chicago. Before the game, the White Sox retired uniform number 3 worn by Harold Baines, who's now playing for the Rangers after being traded 3 weeks ago. Boston taking on Milwaukee. Bucky Dent looking for his very first victory as the Yankees' new skipper. His team is taking on Detroit today. California is hosting Cleveland. The Angels and the A's are virtually tied for first place in the West. Oakland is at home against Minnesota. And Seattle is hosting Kansas City. At the Canadian Open Tennis Championships in Montreal today, Yvonne Lendl made it look easy. Lendl defeated second seed John McEnroe in the championship match 6-1, 6-3. The NASCAR Tour stopped at Brooklyn, Michigan for the Champion Spark Plug 400. Rusty Wallace took the lead and took the race with a track record time of 157.687 miles an hour. Mark McKay, Headline Sports.
Now you needn't go to the symphony to hear the classics when you can own the collector's library of best-loved classics.